So I have my chef hat on and we are ready to cook some Thai chicken curry. If you haven't done it yet, start your rice. I finished my minute rice. This is just basic 5-minute rice. If you haven't started your rice, sometimes you have to look on the package. Your rice takes a little bit of time to cook. So if your rice takes a little bit of time to cook, make sure your rice is ready to go. All right, so I'm going to make a really yummy Thai curry today. I learned it from my brother-in-law, Josh. He loves to cook too. So sometimes on Facebook, he'll go live and make some type of food. So he was making chicken Thai curry and I had to have it. And as soon as I tried it, I knew you all would love it because it's so delicious. Okay, so very simple. The first thing you're going to do is just put a little bit of olive oil in your pan, probably only like a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons, just a very little, just to coat the bottom. Okay, that's what I put. Okay, and I'm going to heat it up. I'm going to put it. The nice thing about, you kind of want a hot pan when you're making curry. Okay, so I'm going to put mine to about 7 or 8. So it's kind of like a medium high heat. And I'm going to let this get a little bit hot, okay? And as I'm waiting, I'm going to get my Thai curry paste. This is the one I use. I get it from Wegmans. I kind of put a note in the ingredients to kind of get the curry you like. If you like really, really spicy, they have really spicy curry. I don't like super spicy. I like a mild to a medium heat. This one's a mild, it's a yellow curry. And it comes in like a package. I put it in this, but it comes usually in like a silver package. And you don't use it all, you just use a little bit. So this I can already feel is getting a little bit hot. So I'm going to put, because I'm one person, if you're making this for about 3 people and you and your family, you're going to use like 1.5 to 2 tablespoons. But because it's just me by myself, I'm going to use 1 tablespoon. Okay, so if you're cooking for 1 person, 1 or 2 people, you could do 1 tablespoon. And probably like 2 to 3 or 4, I would use 2 tablespoons. Okay, but this is almost done. I've used this before, so I'm going to use the rest of whatever's in here. But if you have not opened yours yet, you're just going to use a tablespoon. And it doesn't have to be perfect measurements. If you just get a big spoon and put a little bit in your pan, that's perfectly fine. Like I said, I've almost done this, so I'm going to finish it and use the rest of whatever's in here. So I'm actually going to get a cutting board out so I can get the rest. And I have this nifty scraper where I'm going to kind of scrape all the curry out since I'm almost done. Actually, I should use my black cutting board just in case it stains. So that's what I'm going to do. And I can already feel this oil is getting hot. So what I'm going to do now is take my curry and get it all out. So this is my paste. This is about 1 tablespoon for me. Okay, so I put my curry paste, 1 tablespoon, I'm going to put it right in the pan. Moving it around, kind of cooking it a little bit. Yep, all that's in the pan right now is a little oil and the paste. So we're kind of just moving it around. Okay. So I have it cooking in here. After this has cooked for just about 1 minute, you're just heating it up, kind of getting those seasoning and that flavor. You want to cook the flavor a little bit. It only takes like a minute. We're going to open our can of coconut milk and we're going to slowly pour it in. We're not just going to dump it and stir it. We're going to put a little bit in and stir it together with the curry paste. Then we'll pour the rest of a little bit more and stir it more with the curry paste. This, for me, helps so that your curry paste doesn't get lumpy and chalky and that the seasoning doesn't kind of get like clumped together by doing a little bit at a time. So I'm going to open this and pour a teeny bit in and I will show you what I mean. I'll do that now. So this is still on. I turned my heat down a little bit. Okay. So here's my can of coconut milk. I'm going to pour just a little bit in. And I'm just going to stir this all together. around. Now I'm going to pour some more in. And you really want to stir it together. Try to get those lumps of paste all incorporated into the coconut milk. Yeah, coconut milk tends to separate. It's just the type of ingredient it is. But it doesn't harm the taste once it's all mixed. So my can, I gradually dump this in a little bit at a time and just stirred it together. So now all I'm doing is stirring it. Our curry sauce and paste is already done. So we're just gonna let this cook for about, so I would say no more than 5 minutes just to get the flavor. And then we're gonna start adding our protein and our veggies. So all you're doing is just stirring it a little bit together, letting those flavors marry and become one. It's going to be really tasty and sweet with a little bit of spice at the end. And sometimes you might notice that when your curry bubbles, it kind of looks like foam on top when it bubbles, and that's totally okay. That's totally normal. It's because of the coconut milk. That's why. Coconut milk bubbles like that sometimes. It almost looks like foam on top. So I'm gonna let this sit just for about another 3 minutes just to kind of bubble. Right now my heat is about 6, which is medium. It's about a medium heat. So what I was like, I'll give you some just like tips and some things that my brother-in-law Josh told me when he was on the video. He was inspired to make this because he went to Thailand and had wonderful Thai curry there. So he was really interested in Thai cooking. So that's how he started to cook Thai food. And I love cooking Asian style foods. That's probably one of my specialties and one of my favorite things, just because I love the flavors and it can get sweet and spicy. And it just has so many rich, wonderful flavors. So with this, it has the same thing. And he was suggesting that Indian curry, in my email that Janine sent out, Indian curry and Thai curry is a little bit different. Indian curry tends to be a little bit more strong and full of very strong spices. And that's how it tends to be more spicier. So in the grocery store, you'll see Indian and Thai curry. And if you like a little bit more of that sweeter, not as spicy, always go for the Thai, because their cooking tends to be not as spicy as an Indian curry. They both are kind of the same, where you add it to a liquid or some type of sauce to make the flavor. I suggest if you're using a curry paste, once we're done and you have this on your plate, is to wash your pan kind of immediately as soon as you can, because sometimes curry paste can stain at times. I have not had a problem with my pan, but I know it could. So this is bubbling. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add my protein. I said you can add as much protein as you want. It's just me. So I'm adding 1 piece of chicken. You don't need to flavor it. You don't need to do anything with it. You can put the chicken in whole, or you can cut it into pieces. I cut mine into pieces, bite-sized pieces. So one, it's already cut for me. So when I go to eat, I don't have to, I can just put it in my mouth right away and taste that deliciousness. But also I cut it into pieces so like the whole bite gets flavor. So you can do either one. If you want to cut it into bite-sized pieces or put a whole piece of chicken in, that's fine. It's up to you. So I'm just going to put this right into my paste. Whoop, there we go. And stir it around. And I'm going to cook this. So as you see, I'm just stirring it around. The chicken is going to take a few minutes to cook. And then when the chicken is almost done, like I add in my vegetables. While this is cooking in here, you can go ahead and cut some veggies up, but I've already pre-cut them. That way we could get this, keep the cooking show moving along like they do on the television. So that's why I've cut things already. But you can go ahead and cut your vegetables. You can cut them in any size or shape or bites that you want. I just cut them into strips, and I cut my onions into kind of like bite-sized pieces, and I left my green beans alone. I just cut off the little tips of them. Also in. You could pick any veggies you like. You could have this one time I made it with cauliflower and asparagus. And tonight I'm putting in peppers because peppers are delicious. These are just tiny sweet peppers, and I just cut them into strips. I'm putting onion in. Yes, you can put frozen vegetables. Thank you for reminding me. That's what I was going to say. You could even put your chicken in frozen. It will take longer to cook, right? Because the sauce is hot, and now I'm putting the frozen chicken in, so it's going to drop in temperature. So you have to raise back up the temperature to get it cooked all the way through. It will take a little bit longer, but of course, you can put frozen vegetables or fresh vegetables in. This recipe is all however you want to make it. As long as the sauce is done, you could put tofu in here. You could put fish in the sauce if you want to do fish instead. You can put fish in there. Any vegetables you want. So I'm putting peppers, onions, and some green beans into the sauce. Not yet. I want to cook that chicken a little bit, and then I'm going to put the veggies in. Because these vegetables don't take long to cook, you kind of want to do it at the end. That way they don't overcook. So that's what I'm going to do now. I have my curry, and I'm just going to dump these all in. And now I'm just going to stir them around. Stir them in that sauce. You want to get the sauce all nice and coated in there, because that is the delicious part. So anytime you put like some new vegetable or protein, it might stop bubbling, and that's only because the vegetables and the chicken are cold, and you're putting it into the hot broth. So the hotness of the broth kind of goes away a little bit because it's like shocked by the cold food, but it will come right back up. I put my vegetables in and it stopped boiling, and now it's starting to boil again. And all I'm doing is stirring it. That's all I'm doing. I'm going to let this cook for about another 4 to 5 minutes just to get those vegetables coated and cooked. And I'm kind of making sure that sauce they're all pushed into the sauce and they're all coated by that yummy sauce. A lot of times the recipes do not call for a little sugar and a little soy sauce, but little secret that my brother-in-law told me straight from Thailand. They add soy sauce or fish sauce, whatever one you have, to their recipe with a little bit of sugar. And that is because it helps balance the food. A lot of times in cooking, if you have something really sweet, you want to add a little bit of salt to it to make it a balanced taste in your mouth. So when you go to a Thai restaurant or Thailand, and then you go home and try to make it, sometimes you're like, it just doesn't taste the same as the restaurant. This will help it taste just like you were at a restaurant or if you were to go to Thailand. So once your chicken and your vegetables are almost done, we're going to add a little bit of sugar and soy sauce or fish sauce, whatever you have. I said soy sauce because I know most people have soy sauce and it's something you would use again. I'm using fish sauce because I cook a lot of Asian food, so I already have it. But if you don't have fish sauce, you can just use soy sauce. It's easier to find in grocery stores. So all you're going to do is you're going to get 1 tablespoon of sugar. That's it. You're going to I need a new spoon. You're going to get 1 tablespoon of sugar, and you're just going to sprinkle it right on top of your sauce. That's it. So I'm going to do that now. And the reason why we do that is because there's a lot of salt in the dish already. So the sugar is going to help balance it. So I just have 1 tablespoon of sugar, and I'm just going to shake it over the sauce. And I'm going to stir it together. I'm going to turn down my sauce a little bit because like all my stuff's pretty cooked. Green beans take a little bit of time longer to cook. I stirred my sugar in. It's going to take long. It's going to help balance the dish. 2 tablespoons of soy sauce into here as well. So 1 tablespoon of sugar, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. And we're just going to stir it around. So that's what I'm going to do now. Okay. I'm I'm just going to stir it around and let all those flavors go back, come together. And that's just going to enhance that. Soy sauce is just going to enhance the curry paste flavor. And you can have leftovers for about 2 days if you make a lot. Here's my suggestion though when making the leftovers. I would put, if you're going to serve it with rice or noodles, I would store the rice and noodles in a separate container and then put the curry paste and sauce in a separate container, because sometimes if you mix the noodles and rice together, they're going to soak up all the flavor and the juice, and then you won't have any more like sauciness. So that way when you heat it up, you just get a little bit of rice from your container and a little bit of the sauce from another container. That way you always have a nice fresh dish. I always find it fun to cook food from other cultures because you bring a little bit of the world into your house. So that's why I like it. Because, you know, right now you can't travel to faraway places. So I'm like, I like cooking food from other countries. That way it kind of almost feels like I'm traveling to that country. All righty, so I'm going to turn off the heat for this one. And I'm showing you how to plate. So I put some rice on my plate, and now I'm kind of going to get a big spoon. You could even get a ladle. I have this type of spoon, so it can hold some sauce and some veggies. And I'm just going to stir it. I'm just going to pick up some of that paste, and you can put it on top or on the side. I kind of put it halfway on and halfway off. Like that. So this is how I do it. I put some on the rice and then some on the side. That way I can get a spoon and get some rice and then get some of that sauce. So this is your finished chicken Thai curry with Chef Meghan.
That's good.